This episode contains themes of violence and sexual horror, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Once upon a time, there lived a prince of Egypt. His name was Kha-em-Waset, born to the queen Iset-Nofret and the king Ramesses II. In life, Khaemuas was a learned man. He worked as the chief priest for the great god Ptah, lord of artisans and creator of the universe. As high priest, the prince learned many secrets of Egypt's ancient past. He read the scrolls kept within the temple archives. He studied monuments in the vast cemeteries that stretched along the western horizon. Kha-em-Waset led official expeditions to inspect the pyramids of long-dead kings. Penetrating their burial chambers, he recorded the names which he found, and inscribed them on the surface of the pyramids so that all would know their owners. The prince also consecrated new monuments, contributing to the sacred landscape. Under his guidance, the mighty Serapeum, catacombs of the Apis bulls, began in earnest. And to the northwest of Saqqara, the prince constructed chapels for himself, his family, and the gods. Works like these, and his piety to the god Ptah, made Kha-em-Waset a respected figure, a worthy addition to his father's house. 1,000 years later, the memory of Kha-em-Waset had grown into legend. In the Ptolemaic era, between 330 and 30 BCE, priests and scribes remembered Kha-em-Waset as a man of knowledge and wisdom, one who knew the finest arts of heka, or magic. This trend reached its peak in a series of tales copied down in the Greek and Roman eras. They spoke of Kha-em-Waset as a magician and his adventures in the lands of the living and the land of the dead. These tales are known today as the cycle of Setna. Setna comes from a priestly title which Kha-em-Waset held in life. He was the Setem, probably pronounced Setma. Over time, that got corrupted to Setna, and the title stuck as a nickname for the prince. But the stories do reference his full name, Kha-em-Waset, son of Ramesses II. So we know that Setna and the prince are the same person. The Setna cycle has two major sections, preserved on different papyri. They date to the late Ptolemaic and early Roman eras, roughly 100 BCE to 200 CE, give or take. Within these legends, the prince embarks on dramatic adventures. He uses magic to steal the very knowledge of the gods, gets into serious hot water on a matter of solicitation, trains his son to be a master magician, journeys to the underworld itself, and witnesses a battle of wits in the court of Ramesses II. The stories are long and quite detailed. Today, I'm going to focus on one of them, the tale of Kha-em-Waset and the magical book of Thoth. In the first story, copied down during the Ptolemaic period, Kha-em-Waset goes on an adventure to obtain a book. Not just any book, a scroll of magic written by the great god Djehuty or Thoth himself. The beginning of the story is lost, but enough material survives to reconstruct the premise. It goes like this. Long, long ago, in the days of Ramesses II, the prince Kha-em-Waset was a wise man. He studied ancient writings and inspected long-forgotten monuments. In the course of his work, the prince learned of the existence of a book, a magical text written by Djehuty or Thoth himself, and containing spells of incredible magic. Kha-em-Waset searched the great necropolis of Memphis, and he learned the location of this fabled book. It lay within the tomb of an ancient prince, a man named Na-Nefer-Ka-Ptah, or Beautiful is the Bull of Ptah. Excitedly, Kha-em-Waset went to the necropolis, along with his foster brother, Inaros. Together, they entered the burial chamber. As he searched the tomb, Kha-em-Waset was startled by an apparition. The spirit of a woman stood before him. "A ghost!" Unafraid, Kha-em-Waset spoke to the lady. Her name was Ichwere, or Great Ichet. She addressed Khaemwaset, for she knew why he had come. He wanted the Book of Thoth. This is where the surviving portion of the tale begins. Part 1. The Conjuring. Once upon a time, Ichwere and Na-Nefer-Kapita. You know what? I'm not saying that every time. Let's just call him Na-Nefer. Long ago, the prince Na-Nefer had also been a learned and wise man, a magician in his own right. At least, he thought he was. But one day, a priest laughed at him and said, "Those modern writings you study, they have no value. If you want to read something meaningful, you should go to the city of Djehuty, or Koptos." There, the priest said, a box of iron lay at the bottom of the Nile. Within that iron chest was a box of copper. In that was a box of juniper wood. Inside that was a box of ebony and ivory. In that was a box of silver. And in that was a box of gold. In the golden casket there lay a papyrus book. It had been written by Djehuty, or Thoth himself. Whoever possessed that book and read the spells would gain a piece of the god's own magic. Well, who could pass that up? Na-Nefer and his wife Ichwere chartered a boat and sailed upriver. They took their son with them and enjoyed a pleasant holiday. It must be said that Ichwere was ambivalent about this quest. When Na-Nefer had told her of the book, the princess denounced that priest, saying, "May the goddess Neith blast you, priest! You have told Na-Nefer of evil things. You have brought me strife." The princess tried to prevent Na-Nefer from going on this quest, but apparently he did not listen to me. So it was that the family arrived in the south. After making offerings in the local temple, Na-Nefer went in search of the book. To do so, he cast his own spell of conjuration. The ancient prince fashioned a boat out of wax, along with a crew of sailors and rowers. Reciting a spell of awakening, he brought these figures to life, and presumably made them life-size as well. Boarding this magical boat, he sailed out into the Nile, seeking the place where the casket was buried. After 3 days and nights, Na-Nefer found the iron box. Just as the priest said, it lay at the bottom of the river, with smaller chests nesting within. Finally, the prince opened the gold casket, and there it lay, the papyrus of Djehuty himself. Written upon the scroll were 2 spells. One empowered the reader to, quote, magically encompass the sky, the earth, the duat, or underworld, the mountains, and the seas. The reader will discover the things that the birds of the sky, along with the lowest animals of the land, say to one another. The reader will gaze at the fish of the depths. In other words, whoever read this spell would know the true essence of natural things. And in the ancient Egyptian worldview, to know the truth of something, particularly its name, would give you magical control. As you can imagine, this spell was incredibly potent. The second spell gave the reader knowledge of gods. Whether they were alive or dead, they would, quote, see Ra as he appears in the sky, together with his Ennead or council, and also the moon god in the forms of his rising. This spell seems to be slightly different in phrasing. The reader does not gain power over Ra or his divine council, but they do gain the ability to perceive the god within the celestial phenomena. That might seem less direct, but the knowledge has its own value. One of the great challenges for anyone who believes in a god is their general invisibility and absence in the waking world. Whoever read this second spell would have the utmost assurance of one of life's great questions. Perhaps even more than the first spell, this was knowledge surely not meant for mortals. Excitedly, Na-Nefer read the spells, learning these secret things that only the gods should possess. Returning to the riverbank, he revealed the Book of Thoth to Ichwere. Alas, the princess' curiosity got the better of her. She asked to see it, and when Na-Nefer handed it over, Ikwere recited the spells herself. Thus, she gained knowledge of all things, the power to control nature, to see the greatest gods in their element. The new power couple departed Djehuty, setting off downriver, back towards Memphis. However, before they left, Na-Nefer did something bold. The prince sat down and copied the Book of Thoth onto a new papyrus. Every word and phrase he replicated exactly. Then he took that new document, burned it to ashes, and mixed those with water. Na-Nefer drank this potion so that he would absorb the spells into his own body. Side note, this was quite a common tool of ancient medical practice. Especially at temples, folks would often take a stone, grind a little bit of the masonry into powder, and mix that as a kind of homeopathic remedy. It's why so many Egyptian temples today have weird little scoops in lines along the lower levels. Anyway, the prince and princess sailed northward on the Nile. Their son played on the deck of their ship. Everything seemed well. Alas, the great god Thoth had learned of Na-Nefer's theft. Furious, Thoth went to Ra, the creator, and reported what the humans had done. Ra gave Thoth permission to curse Na-Nefer, literally saying to him, quote, "The prince is yours, together with every person, family and servants, that belongs to him. Do not allow Na-Nefer and anyone belonging to him to reach Memphis safely." Thus, the gods cursed the prince and his family. The first to die was their son. Emerging from his cabin on the royal barge, the boy fell off the deck into the Nile. He drowned. Shortly after, the same thing happened to Princess Ikwere. The gods confused her mind, and she too fell in the river, drowning beneath the waters. Na-Nefer was distraught. He organized the mummification for Ikwere and their son, and he buried them in a tomb at Koptos. Fearing the worst, Na-Nefer took the Book of Thoth and bound it to his own body. Then he leapt from the royal barge, committing suicide in the river. Sadly, Na-Nefer's new magical skill was a bit of a mixed blessing. Because of the power that now coursed through his body, his corpse, though dead, still clung to the rudder of his ship. When the ship arrived at Memphis, they found the prince's body gripping the wooden beams. The king, distraught at these losses, ordered that Na-Nefer should be buried in his tomb at Memphis, and he commanded that the book, strapped to Na-Nefer's chest, be hidden away in the sepulchre. There it lay for 1,000 years. Part 2. 3 Whacks of a Senate Board. Ikwere concluded her tale with a warning. She said to Kha-em-Waset, quote, "These are the evils that happened to us because of the book. You say to us, 'Give it to me,' but you have no business with it. Behold, our existence on earth is forfeit because of this book." Kha-em-Waset listened to the tale of tragedy and woe, but the prince was unmoved. Driven forward by his desire for power, Kha-em-Waset commanded the ghost, "Let me have this book, or I will take it by force." Thereupon, the mummy of Na-Nefer rose up from its funerary bed. The mummy challenged Kha-em-Waset. He said, "The Book of Thoth, will you take it by magic, literally the craft of a good scribe? Or will you take it by victory, in playing a board game against me? Come, let us compete for the book." Kha-em-Waset replied, "I stand ready." The board game appeared before them. It's unspecified, but it's possibly the famous game Senet. Squaring off, they began to play. Soon enough, Na-Nefer bested Kha-em-Waset. Of course he did. He had the magic of Thoth in his body. The mummy prince grabbed the Senate board and whacked Kha-em-Waset on the head. With his magic, he struck hard enough that the living prince sank into the earth, up to his knees. Undeterred, Kha-em-Waset challenged Na-Nefer to a second game. They played again. Na-Nefer won again, and he whacked Kha-em-Waset hard enough that the prince sank up to his crotch. A third time, Kha-em-Waset challenged the mummy. A third time he lost, and Na-Nefer hit him so that he sank up to his ears. Finally, Kha-em-Waset got the message. This method wasn't working. Calling out to his brother Inaros, who was apparently watching this whole thing and not helping at all, Kha-em-Waset beseeched him. "Go to the palace and the temple of Ptah. Get the magical texts and amulets and bring them back to me." Inaros ran off and fetched those magical tools. Returning, he touched Kha-em-Waset with an amulet of Ptah. This freed the prince from his earthly prison. Kha-em-Waset reached out, seized the book of Djehuty, and ran from his tomb, back to the world of the living. In victory, Kha-em-Waset took the book before his father, the pharaoh Ramesses II. He told Ramesses what had happened to him, and the king said, "Take this book back, or else Na-Nefer will make you take it back." Alas, Kha-em-Waset did not listen to his father. He took the book of Thoth away, sat down, and began to read. Meanwhile, in the tomb, the ghost of Ihuere wailed, "O darkness, hail! Farewell to light! Everything that was in this tomb is gone." But Na-Nefer replied to her, "Do not grieve. I will make him bring it back." Part 3. The Shining. A few days after his theft, Kha-em-Waset was strolling through the courtyard in the great temple of Ptah. Suddenly, the prince saw a woman walking through the temple. She was beautiful, beyond anything he had ever seen. The story describes this lady as, quote, "extraordinarily beautiful, there having never existed any woman of such radiance." The mere sight of this woman shook Kha-em-Waset, and for a moment he didn't even know where he was. Naturally, the prince desired this woman greatly. He sent his servant to find out who she was, and he learned that her name was Tabubue. This roughly translates as "she of the Shining One." Kha-em-Waset propositioned Tabubue, offering her, quote, 10 pieces of gold to spend an hour with me. Tabubue replied, "I am a woman of priestly rank, not some lowly girl of the street. If you want me, come to my house in the city of Bubastis. Come spend time with me in privacy." The prince, foolish with lust, followed Tabubue to her city and to her house. The apartment was beautiful. Its floors were swept and clean, ornamented with gems of lapis lazuli and panels of turquoise. There were numerous couches, or beds, draped with the finest quality linen. The cups were made of gold, and they were numerous. Tabubue was a special woman indeed. How had he never met her before? The Shining Lady welcomed Kha-em-Waset. She gave him a cup of wine and a plate of food. She bid him drink and eat of her offering. The prince did so, but was unsatisfied. He craved one thing, and one thing only. Tabubue was not giving it up easily. First, she commanded the prince, "If you want me, then you must give me all of your worldly possessions." Kha-em-Waset demurred for a moment, but then Tabubue put on a garment of royal linen. The fabric was almost transparent, and the glimpse of her body drove Kha-em-Waset deeper into his madness. Seeing this, Tabubue said, "If you really want me, you must disinherit your children, so that they do not challenge me for your possessions." Kha-em-Waset, mind clouded by desire, agreed to this condition. But then Tabubue said, "If you really want me, you must kill your children." By now, Kha-em-Waset was hopelessly lost, and he agreed to the final price. Tabubue sent word, and the children were killed. Their bodies were thrown from the house into the street, where dogs and cats feasted on their flesh. Their screams echoed in the twilight, but Kha-em-Waset sat, unmoved, in the house of Tabubue. After a long moment, Khaemuas beseeched her, "Please, let me achieve what I have come here for." At last, Tabubue yielded. She invited the prince. "Come now, recline on this bed with me." Kha-em-Waset lay down, and he reached out a hand to touch her. But suddenly, the shining lady opened her mouth, so wide that it was, quote, down to the ground. She screamed, a terrifying howl, the sound roaring through the town. Khaemuas awoke, drenched with sweat and utterly naked. There was no house. He was in the temple of Ptah once more. He saw a procession going past. On a carrying chair sat the king, Ramesses II. Khaemuas made to rise before his father, but he was ashamed of his nakedness. The king said to his son, "Setna," that is, priest, "what is the state that you are in?" Khaemuas wailed, "It is Na-Nefer-Ka-Ptah, the prince, who has done this to me." Pharaoh replied, "Go to Memphis. Your children miss you." He summoned a servant to give Khaemuas new clothes and sent the prince on his way. Khaemuas returned home and found his children alive and well. He embraced them, and the pharaoh Ramesses, apparently having followed, asked his son, "Were you drunk?" The prince told everything that had happened to him. Ramesses replied, "Setna, I extended my hand to you before. That is, I warned you. I said they would kill you if you don't take that book back to the place of its theft. But until this moment, you still have not listened to me. Now, take it back." At last, Kha-em-Waset obeyed. He went back to the tomb of Na-Nefer-Ka-Ptah. As he entered the chamber, the ghost of Ikwere appeared once more. She said to the prince, "Ah, Setna, it is the great god Ptah who has brought you back." But then the mummy of Na-Nefer laughed, and he said, "No, it was I. Just as I promised, I have made him return." The prince greeted Na-Nefer properly, and they all felt the presence of the sun god Ra within the tomb. Ikwere and Na-Nefer returned the greeting, and welcomed Kha-em-Waset warmly. Abashed, the prince spoke to the couple and asked them, "Is there anything wrong with your burial that I can rectify?" Na-Nefer replied, "Well, you know that Ikwere and our son are buried in Koptos rather than here with me. Please, go to Koptos and bring their mummies back." In haste, Kha-em-Waset took a ship, sailed upriver to Koptos, and went searching for the tomb. He spent, quote, 3 days and 3 nights searching in all the tombs in the deserts of Koptos. He turned over the stelae of the scribes from the House of Life and read the inscriptions upon them. But he did not find the resting place of Ikwere and her son. Kha-em-Waset was about to give up, but the spirit of Na-Nefer appeared in the guise of an old man. Kha-em-Waset, not recognizing him, asked the old man, "Do you know where the resting place of Ikwere and her son is located?" The elder said, "Their grave is beneath the house of the chief of police, under the south corner." Kha-em-Waset replied, "Really? Do you have some grudge against the chief of police, that you're trying to demolish his house?" The old man replied, "Go, see for yourself. If the grave is not there, you can punish me." Kha-em-Waset did so, and they went digging underneath the house. Lo and behold, the grave came to light. The prince, quote, carried the 2 noble persons, the mummies, onto the royal barge. He also had the house of the chief of police rebuilt, and then departed on his boat, heading back to Memphis. Kha-em-Waset took the mummies of Ikwere and her son to the tomb where Na-Nefer lay. He had the monument sealed, housing them all, and the Book of Thoth, away forever. The end. The The tale of Kha-em-Waset and the Book of Thoth is a classic fairy tale. Fundamentally, it's a story of folly. The moral is quite simple. Some knowledge is forbidden to mere mortals, and one must not trifle with the gods' secret magic. The pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and earthly magics, those are noble professions, the craft of a good scribe, as the story describes it. But even the wise and learned sages, like Na-Nefer and Kha-em-Waset, they are mere playthings compared to divine power. Heck, even the dead, like Na-Nefer, can curse the living with great suffering. The story has other layers. There is a strong comedic aspect, with Kha-em-Waset getting into sticky situations and needing someone to bail him out. There's an obvious erotic element, coupled with a veneration of feminine power. Scholars like Steve Vinson argue that the two female characters, Ihwere and Tabubue, represent opposite sides of great goddesses. They have quite different roles within the tale, but they also complement each other. Ihwere warns Kha-em-Waset to not commit wrongdoing in pursuit of his desires. On the flip side, Tabubue encourages him to do so, but then punishes him for that very mistake. The magical elements are obviously quite strong. Although the story survives on a Ptolemaic papyrus, roughly 100 BCE, give or take, the conflicts and their magical elements are consistent with earlier traditions. In the story, Na-Nefer uses a spell to bring little figurines to life, just like the Shabti figures were supposed to do for the dead. The dead themselves were a potent force in ancient life. Throughout the Pharaonic era, folks would write letters to their deceased friends and family. They asked the dead to assist them in matters of daily life, or, if things were going badly, to stop causing them ill fortune. The tale of Kha-em-Waset and the Book of Thoth doubles down on those core ideas. There is also the matter of dreams. Dreams and nightmares were a matter of concern. As early as the Ramessid period, when Kha-em-Waset actually lived, folks would consult oracles to interpret their dreams. Priests would cast spells to prevent nightmares. And going back to the world of the dead, some seem to interpret bad dreams as an influence of spirits, or even foreign enemies cursing the living. The prince's character arc is interesting. For much of the tale, Kha-em-Waset is kind of a dick. He is skilled and undeniably knowledgeable, but he's greedy, arrogant, and pushy. When the prince hears the tragedy of Ihwere and Na-Nefer, he ignores their sufferings and just takes the book for himself. Even when his father, the king Ramesses, says, "Hey, take that back," he ignores it and reads the Book of Thoth. Later, Khaemuas tries to straight up buy the beautiful Tabubue, and while admittedly enchanted, he goes to horrible lengths to get what he wants. It all comes across a little bit spoiled rich kid. He reminds me of those parody versions of JFK. Fortunately, the prince does learn his lesson. The vengeance of Na-Nefer, playing out in a dream of lust and loss, terrifies the prince into reconciliation. It's a little bit Christmas Carol, although with a disappointing lack of Muppets. More important is what it says about the storytelling itself. This is ancient fantasy of sorts, but Kha-em-Waset is no superhero. He has power and magic, but he's still human, prone to mistakes, and overconfident in his abilities. Again, the moral of the story has its layers, but a simple theme at the core. Kha-em-Waset, or any magician, may be knowledgeable, but some things are beyond mortal capacity, and should not be trifled with. The tale of Kha-em-Waset and the Book of Thoth was first published in 1866. It quickly made its mark on literature, and the story lingers today, even in modern entertainment. The tale probably inspired parts of the novel She by H.R. Haggard. It definitely inspired a subplot in The Egyptian by Mika Waltari, and the Book of Thoth appears in Sax Rohmer's Brood of the Witch Queen. Finally, the 1932 film The Mummy seems to borrow a few scenes or tropes from the ancient tale. In that story, an ancient priest, now called Imhotep, tries to revive his dead lover with the Scroll of Thoth. He is punished for it, and the scroll is buried alongside him, sealing it away from mortal hands. That setup recalls the tale of Na-Nefer-Ka-Ptah, the death of his wife Ikwere, and how Na-Nefer himself was buried with the Book of Thoth. Later in the film, Imhotep himself appears in the guise of an old man, just as Na-Nefer did for Kha-em-Waset. In both tales, this mystical elder guides excavators to a lost tomb. Finally, the vengeance of divine magic sees the Book of Thoth restored to its proper place. It's not a one-to-one adaptation or anything, but the influences are there. Oddly enough, the 1999 remake of The Mummy actually borrowed the idea of the Book of Thoth a little bit more explicitly. In that remake, the magical text is renamed as the Book of Amun-Ra, but it acts as the central MacGuffin of the tale, and ultimately the threat of the mummy, Imhotep, is only resolved by returning the Book of Amun-Ra to the forbidden city of Khamunaptra. So in that sense, the 1999 film adapts the structure of this tale a little bit more directly. In short, the tale of Kha-em-Waset and the Book of Thoth is an excellent example of ancient Egyptian Gothic horror. If you'd like to learn more about the tales of Kha-em-Waset, they are available in a number of publications. Miriam Lichtheim's book, Ancient Egyptian Literature Volume 3, includes extended translations of the surviving tales. Similarly, William Kelly Simpson's book, The Literature of Ancient Egypt, has 2 extended chapters about the major stories. For the tale of Kha-em-Waset and the Book of Thoth specifically, the most up-to-date study was published in 2018. Steve Vinson's The Craft of a Good Scribe, History, Narrative, and Meaning in the First Tale of Setna Kha-em-Waset presents a fresh translation of the tale, along with transliteration and photos of the papyrus. It also explores the legacy of that story in ancient and modern literature. I used it extensively in my research for this episode, and it's highly recommended if you want to deep dive. The History of Egypt podcast is supported by the many wonderful folks who have subscribed at patreon.com/Egypt podcast. I am endlessly grateful to all of my patrons, and I want to say thank you for your support. In particular, I must thank the priests, the top tier backers who give most generously every month. Folks, you are too kind. Your excellence, skill, and craft is on display for all to see. And may any battles you get into with ghosts or mummies go far more successfully than Kha-em-Waset's. My thanks to Linda, Chris, Mycost, Farron, Eric, Cian, Dan B, Carlos, Dan S, Yola, Erin, Veronica, Alicia, Kate, TJ, Terry, Jeffrey, Nidin, Suyon, Andrew, Andy and Chelsea, James B, Karen, and Erjan. Priests, thank you so much. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining me. I'll see you soon.